Yeah, let's start with the WDF World Championship and Neil Duff making history as the first WDF Men's World Champion and the first from Northern Ireland. How impressed were you with his run to the title?
Well, I think you have to be very impressed. And, we'll get to the final in a second because I don't think the stats fully do justice. But if you look before that, okay, he wasn't tested in the first round, or his first round, wasn't really tested in his second match. But then in the quarterfinals, he was going against the player who up until then had been the man of the tournament in Jim McEwen, and he fell 3 sets down, 2 legs to 1 down. And from that point on, he only dropped 3 legs the rest of the match, coming back to win 4 sets to 3, winning, what would that be, 11 of the last 14 legs, and averaged over 94 to do that. That's a very good standard at this level. And then in the semifinals, going against the player who, after Jim McEwen, was the best player in the tournament up till then, Richard Veenstra, who just 2 rounds earlier shattered the Lakeside World Championship record, averaging nearly 105, and still played pretty darn well against the top seed Brian Rahman, averaging nearly 95 again. Neil Duff beat him 5 sets to 2 to book his spot in the final. Those were 2 very, very good wins, and they made him rightfully so the favorite entering the final and the best player in the tournament entering the final. That said, in the final, I think you have to look at it as a tale of 2 matches, because there's no way to say it other than that he was very poor for the first 4 sets, falling behind 3 sets to 1. The 3 sets he lost to 0 in that time frame, and was averaging well under 80. And it wasn't that Thibault Tricot was playing all that well. Tricot was hitting at the right times, but Neil Duff wasn't doing anything, was not looking like the player he was. But from that point on, for the last 7 sets, he averaged 93.74 for and over 30 legs. Over the last 25 legs, he averaged 95.85. Over the last 22 legs, he averaged 97.13. So you see how his game, which was not there for the first 4 sets, quickly lifted and then became for the WDF and as well as the BDO prior to that, at the standard that world champions played at. And he kept that going for 22 legs, and there's really no reason to think, or 30 legs if you go those entire final 7 sets, and there's no reason to think he would have dropped off if the match had to go a little bit longer. He was playing at the level. That 87 average doesn't do him justice because of how good he was after falling behind 3 sets to 1. He deserved to be the world champion. He looked like the world champion. And, well, he is the world champion.
Yeah, and that is why you are the darts statistician. Some great stats there from the final. And I guess, yeah, if you look at it on paper and you're looking back on the game, an 87 average to win the final, people will be saying, some people, what they usually say about comparing the standard to the PDC and saying that's nowhere near. But you delve a little bit deeper into the week, and he pulled off some big results, as you say, 3-0 down against Jim McEwen, who had averaged 101 in the first round, comes back and wins that 4-3. The semi-final against Richard Veenstra, as you mentioned, breaking that Lakeside record average with the 104 just 2 rounds a few days earlier, beats him 5-2, and that game was 2-2, and he runs away with it 3 straight sets. But to come back as he did in the final, the biggest game of your career, biggest game of your life, and to be 2-0 down, lose the first sets 3-0, and then be 3-1 down, that took a lot. And as you say, with how he's performed from that point onwards, does deserve a hell of a lot of credit. And this is someone that, going into the tournament, was 25-1. He was 33-1 for Wayne Mardle, who's going to be very happy with himself after he put a bet on him to win the title. But he was one of those players that there were question marks around him, and that goes for a lot of the players in this field. When we were doing our preview for the event, there was a lot of the players that had never played at Lakeside before, or they'd never played in a world championship. And even as the 5th seed, Neil Duff was one of those players making their debut. So we weren't quite sure how he was going to get on. And this is someone that's been playing darts for a little while now, not to the world championship kind of events, but he's someone that the last few years we have seen him start to make those strides. And I first met him at the World Masters 2019 when he made the quarterfinals, and he said to me, if I commit to the tour, it was the BDO tour back then, it's now the WDF tour. If I commit to the tour, I'm going to be dangerous. I'm going to do some damage. And he's now a world champion. And you look back to the last couple of years, yes, there's been a lot of breaks with the pandemic, but before the pandemic, he was starting to make some decent runs. He was starting to play more of the circuit. And then since the tour's come back, sort of September, October time last year, we've seen him pick up titles, the England Nationals, the Slovak Masters a couple of months ago. And even recently, at a local level, we know he plays a lot of darts back home in Northern Ireland. He had 113 average in one of his county games. He won a title before coming over to Lakeside. So he was a player that you could see was coming over with a lot of confidence about how he could do. And in one of his first interviews of the week, he said, "I'll see you on Sunday for the finals." That just tells you how much confidence he was bringing into the week. And this was a tournament that was going into it wide open. There wasn't really a clear favourite going into it. And he's got over those hurdles, some tougher than others, but to come through a last set decider in the final and to do it the way he did as well was mightily impressive. And he's a world champion. He's now the WDF world number one as well. That deserves a mention as well. And to put darts even more on the map in Northern Ireland as well, becoming a world champion, deserves a lot of credit and well deserved as well.